Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Lasham Daily Briefing for Sunday, the 9th of November, 2025. Starting off, as always, with the synoptic looking midnight last night. Bit of clear air after yesterday's pleasant weather. Once that fog cleared, out to the west, though, quite a lot of low pressure activity with a significant cold frontier centering sort of off this low, more or less, over in this direction here. If we move that forwards until midday today, that low centre has now moved much closer to the northwest of Scotland there, and causing that quite significant cold front to run along the west coast. Bringing with it some unsettled weather, rain, low clouds, and quite heavy rain at that, but it's a predominantly southerly flow today, so that's helping us and holding off. It's got a bit more of a northerly track today. Looking forward, it's still sort of hanging around there, as you can see by midnight tonight. It's not had a huge amount of progression to the east, and into tomorrow, some unsettled weather again, with that cold front and an occlusion before clearing into Tuesday for a day or so. Looking at the sat, but you can see evidence of that there. We just get that forwards to the current picture there. We can see clear in our area, but thickening cloud out to the west, and it's how we can expect the cloud to increase and the cloud base to deteriorate throughout today. And looking at the rain radar here, significant amounts of rain all along the west coast there associated with that from a bit of easterly progression there, but it's actually flowing more to the north there. Looking at the Met Office prediction, just running that through. See, with the time when it gets to the west coast, begins to track more or less northeasterly, and there is no concern really for us until mid to late afternoon, by which point we'll be off the field anyway. Odium TAF today, they're giving us 170 degrees, 6 knots for the wind, visibility greater than 10 kilometers, and few 1,000 feet, with a prob 30 of some scattered at 1,200 feet later on today. Farnborough, something fairly similar, 180 degrees, 4 knots, with 300 meter viz and fog broken at 100 feet, becoming between the hours of 6 and 9 this morning, visibility greater than 10 with no significant weather, and a prob 30 of broken at 700 feet mid-morning. So I think that middle line there is more or less what we're seeing at the moment. Their METAR was few at 3,200 feet. So it should be a reasonably usable day, certainly for the first part before we start to see a great deal of cloud becoming an issue. The spot winds to the south of us, southerly, sort of varying either side of 180, about 30 knots at 1,000 and 2,000 feet, and to the north, similar, slight reduction in speed there, about 25 to 30 knots. So fairly blustery at height. There can be a considerable gradient today, but on the ground, expecting a more or less southerly flow for the majority of the day. With that, we'll be operating runway 16. And we can see around 10 knots according to the Met Office here, gusting upwards to 20. So not too strong, perfectly manageable there. The GFS giving us the rough local temperature looking to be around 14 degrees in the warmest part of the day, so very, very mild weather with a dew point around 9. That was the view of the webcam around 8 o'clock this morning. We'll just refresh that now. See, there has been an increase in cloud, but still plenty of sun getting into the ground. And a southerly flow shown there on the windsock. Point forecast now on SkySight, looking somewhat soarable in parts, but generally it's going to be it's not much of a soarable day. We're going to get varying cloud bases. We can see here never more than sort of 1,500 feet, maybe 2,000 feet at times if we're lucky in that later part of today. I think this morning is definitely the nicest part of the weather, and then mid-morning onwards it starts to deteriorate, but we should be able to continue flying throughout much of the day. And just out of interest, really looking at the top meteo cloud distribution there showing at 8 o'clock local a great deal of low-level cloud over us already. And that's not really conducive of what we're seeing on the other models and in fact outside the window. We just run that through. See, it does show thinning slightly with a bit of cirrus, maybe even some cumulus briefly, before thickening up again from the south about 4 o'clock. So I think it's not quite right to begin with. So I'm not quite sure it's going to thicken up as it says here, but we will wait and see. No TAMS, very little to discuss there with the forecast, nothing locally to affect. And we'll move on now to glider bookings. So two K21s on booked flying, K21 on casual list, and a K13 for trial lessons. Plenty of single seater availability, and the simulator is available as normal. We have nothing to report with regards to movements this morning, and a reminder that SPL rules are in force. It's Remembrance Sunday, so there will be a silence that's 11 o'clock on the dot. So please do observe that wherever you are on the airfield, be it the clubhouse, one of the workshops, hangar, please get on board with that. There will be no launching of gliders from 10:45, and immediately prior and during that 2 minute silence, there will be no powered movements permitted either. And we would like at least 10 minutes either side of that, please. So in summary, low pressure to the northwest, bringing some cold front activity. Low cloud and rain arriving later on this afternoon, possibly into the evening once it's dark, with that front and a southerly flow across the airfield. With that southerly flow, we'll be operating runway 16 with cables out to the east. And a reminder for instructors, please do not brief at the front of the queue. As always, do not land or taxi across the disused runways shown in red, and there's our airfield setup to finish winching from the east and air towing from the west of 16. That's all from me this morning. We'll see you out there shortly. A reminder again to observe the 2 minute silence, and have a good day. Keep it safe. Thank you very much.